welcome everybody to the After Dark Show. I'm Don Rogers, and she's got her phone on. We are having a great time with technical difficulties tonight. That's actually Spinja was on another setup in the other room, and that didn't fly, and the phone's on, and it's just been all kinds of craziness just to even get started. It must be the 8-8 Lionsgate portal, because it's been an interesting day. I've been talking to some of the other people in the community, and I know it's just been one of those days for a lot of us. So I'm glad you all are here. I'm glad everybody made it here. I'm glad we're all still sane, or at least partially. And so tonight, what we're going to be doing is, of course, my interdimensional exit buddy, Canadian Spinja, is back. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring back a previous guest. She's been on my show. She's been on BG Cast, who is in the crowd. Shout out my interdimensional brother from another mother. I love you. And her name is Michelle Whitney, and she has developed a very unique skill of being able to decode some of the symbolism and hidden contracts and codes that are ingrained in our modern society. And Spinja actually has a really interesting family backstory. Like, when I heard it, it was like, okay, that sounds like something out of a movie, because that's just too bizarre. The way that love you too, Fractal Bro. The way that it seems as though what was a fairly, I'm just going to go right out and say it, angelic and pure bloodline had been repeatedly infiltrated and interfered with along its path throughout the family history. And I could not think of a better person to do this, because Michelle has just been on fire with her displays of knowledge and understanding of the inner workings of the hidden things. I don't even really have a good word other than things that are inlaid in our society that nobody really notices because it's right in your face. So I'm just going to shut up here and welcome Michelle back to the After Dark Show. And I'm so thankful for you to do this. We tried to do this one other time and it just kind of went sideways, as I told you before. But this is basically Spinja's origin story and breakdown of the fuckery that she's displayed. she's the super bitch.
Origin stories like that.
Yeah. So thank you for coming back.
That's a great intro. Thank you so much. And I'm really happy to be here, and I'm honored that you would ask me to be part of this. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. And I've been well warned, like 8-8 is hitting her like crazy, and these two get in giggle fests to begin with when they're talking behind the scenes. So I imagine for me at times this is going to be much like wrangling a box of kittens with, we'll get through it. This is going to be awesome, and it's going to be a great conversation. So I'm really looking forward to it. A fourth or yeah.
Now, you know what? I feel like we're in a place of balance right now, and one of my titles is Astral Hobbit Wrangler. So I'm kind of thinking that you get to take a step into my shoes for a little bit. And yeah, you have fun with that. Let's go, Michelle. Let's show them the Marie.
Yeah, I don't know how many kittens I've wrangled, but I'll try. Usually I'm trying to wrangle matching socks, and they don't even run around.
Oh, well, you know what? I knit socks. So if you can't, I can hook you up.
I can't tell you how many times I've left the house and shoes don't match, or I'll get home at the end of the day and my underwear been on inside out. And I'm like,
okay, it's starting already.
No wonder they're looking at me weird at the grocery store.
Well, and before we go too far, the reason she is the Astral Hobbit Wrangler is and for those who haven't heard, she is literally the reason I'm here. I died and she brought me back. That's the short and dirty version of it. So y'all have her to thank every week when you get to listen to me say some crazy shit about the universe. So
I always picture Mortal Kombat, like the get over here. I just see her like whipping you out of the astral.
It was more, don't you fucking dare.
That was
it was loosely translated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do a little backstory, and then I'll do like the backstory. Just like how 8-8 is just hitting me because I know that there's a lot of like it's smoking everybody. Um, the veil's like really, really thin. So I thought we were live and I started telling the story about 8-8, the significance in my life. And I really think it might be actually a story of just how powerful this portal is and how you can do stuff without even knowing it. But if it's coming from the heart, oh dude, like it's gonna happen regardless. It might just take a little longer. And I think this is a story of that. And please use this as an example just to show you. Okay, so we're going to go back to August 8th, 2008. At that time, I was a fairly new mother. William was born in March, and my fourther. Shout out to the fourthers.
Starting to become a club around here. I have a 20-minute birthday though.
And so it all lined up. There's so many things to it, how it all happened, but it all lined up where my best friend Kent, who he will be coming up. If I haven't mentioned him, there will be stuff coming. I will be sharing about him because he wasn't human. And I'm going to start calling him the reason. He's the reason. And I'm sorry if I get choked up because he's the reason we're here. Because on August 8th, 2008, somehow things lined up for me and my infant son to come to his wedding in Calgary. I was his best man. The very first time I ever stepped foot in Alberta, the first time I got a taste of home was on August 8th, 2008, which also happened to be Kent's 40th birthday. And at the time I was living with my ex, who was very abusive. He was the poster boy for narcissism, drained me financially, controlled me. Like the fact that I was able to get this plane ticket and that he didn't throw anything in the way to stop me and William from going. I think he knew that he had the power because he had my dogs. And that is why I went back to Ontario. I went back for my dogs, and then all hell broke loose after that. But and I'm not going to get into that, but the inklings have come out. So where I'm going with this, I fell in love with Alberta. Kent's wife took me grocery shopping, and I got to see the mountains while I was grocery shopping. And I'm like, I have to. There has to be a way. This is home. And I wanted a better life for William. I had no idea the opportunities that were here for him, but I just knew that there were. And so as broken as I was, that William was the other reason. He is my reason for marching forth. And so I was able to pull it together and from the heart, because I wanted better for him. I put it out there that I want to come to Calgary. I want to be here. 17 years later, look where we are. So I was able to manifest that at my most broken without even knowing about the power of the Lionsgate portal. So the moral of the story is, guys, it's real. Set your intentions where you want to go. Be specific. Make sure you mention about it being for your highest good, and just go with it. And the other thing I wanted to say is that things have really opened up for me today, and I'm having epiphanies after epiphanies. Like there doing this research, Michelle, I pieced it together. I'm pretty sure the hospital that I was born at is a Stargate or a portal. And there is pertinent information that I have a feeling like I feel like you're going to have fun with this. And so the stuff that I'm about to share, like, I hope everybody just take it as you will. I hope it's inspiring. I hope it fires off some questions in you to ask your question, like ask your own questions, because what's going to happen, like for me anyway, and I hope it happens for you, I'm starting to find family patterns, and the patterns, like how, like where, even the how and the where people were installed in my family, like in like even bloodlines, like in my bloodline, how they were installed to contaminate it, I think is the easiest. So what I'm about to share is going, like, that's my story, but it's all of our stories. If you start tracing things back, you're going to see where things were installed, and the programming, where the programming was installed, and the stuff that we were basically programmed, and how to break ourselves, and what to accept, the abuse, everything. Exactly. So please take this and apply it to you. And so with that, um I'll hand it over to Michelle. But I just want to say, like, when I start breaking down what went on, and the things, if you want to take note or whatever, and it all brings us to the location of where, like, where I was born, where I spent most of my life, where I brought Dawn, and basically how we got here. So that's my piece right now.
Sorry, that was intense. Thank you for sharing that with me. I know I said this before. I just want to say it again. I feel really lucky and honored that you would ask me to come and be part of this with you guys. And I just love you all. August has been an intense month. I know every year during August it's kind of intense, but this year's been extremely so. And you're not the first person to tell me that something crazy has happened to them, or something intense or life-changing has gone on during Lionsgate. It just seems like that's the time of the year, you know? So, I don't know. Do you guys have a copy of the seal, or do you, I can share my screen and I can look it up on Google. If you have one, go ahead.
Hold on a sec. First of all, I do want to share one thing on my end, and I told you this before the show, but I think the audience and listeners need to hear this too. This is you carrying on the gauntlet of Raynetta, because she would have been the person that we reached out to do this. And I could think of no better person to stand in her stead than you, or the young man that's in the audience, Connor. So that's why this means so much.
Thank you, Renetta. Let's do this for her.
Okay.
You want to start with your
Hope everybody
family?
brought your tissues. I don't
You
even know
want
why I put makeup on today.
Yeah.
We're gonna get her on her family history, then we'll bring up the seals and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go right on ahead.
So it might feel like I'm taking the long way, but it all it's all relevant. The other thing that I want to say is that I actually tried to do this before, and I don't know if something happened with some energy stuff with the individual, but basically it was one of the worst shows that I ever did, because I feel like I was very confused. I even found the notes from that show that I said to Dawn, this is not resonating. Like, it was interesting because he said, check back on the notes, just to see. And I literally opened up the page to that interview, like I was supposed to. So I want to throw it out there too, that I've been trying to get to the bottom of this for a while. I feel like there was an individual that was sent our way to derail it. So anything that is going to try to interrupt, you can't. No, you can't interfere. I'm asking questions, and this is my birthright, and I'm calling it out right now. So with that, here we go. So it's basically what I'm looking for is, like I have questions about the area that I grew up in, because you were like you say, like it basically the story's right there in your freaking face. So this is going to be a story, and I think it's got to be all related. And there's been a lot of family like interference and insertion into the bloodline, as I alluded to, and I'm really starting to see it. And so this is my perception of things. So I'm going to start out, because there are certain. Now I'm going to also say that there's a country that's going to keep coming up, and this is a disclaimer. This is not against the people of that country. It's against it's the I'm going to use Stephen's term, the invisible college that likes to hide out there. So I have no issue with the people of that country, because they are lovely people. I know a lot of them, and I love them dearly. So what is happening behind the scenes has nothing to do with the people that live on the land. And I feel that that's very important to say, because it kicks off with my grandma. So I'm going to go on my mom's side first. My grandma had a child out of wedlock. So as we all know, at the time, that was a big old no-no. And it turns out that the father of that child was from Germany, and he left to fight in the World War. So there was my grandma, who was basically, she lost her value in society because she was a single mom. She was sent away and all these different things, but then came along my grandpa. My grandpa, I never got to meet him. He died at the age of 46 from cancer. And that was in 1969. So that's how far back we're going here. This man took this child on as his own, and nobody was the wiser. I actually knew about him before he did. Wow. And so they had 4 children, my mom being the youngest. So the first one was not in the bloodline, like not a direct descendant. He ended up growing up, and he's a Shriner now. And yeah, and on a side note that I feel is relevant, on my grade 8 graduation, he gave me a card, which I thought was like, that was not out of character, but it had a bunch of butterflies on it. And in that card, he said, "We're everywhere." Told me that they were always watching, and we're everywhere. So I associated butterflies with him. Take that how you will, but I just felt that was relevant to share.
Monarch.
So then we'll go over to my grandpa, my mom's dad. So as I mentioned, he raised this child as his own. He died at age 46. So it was his family. He was the oldest of the family, so he was the one who inherited the property. And they had a functioning farm. He was a very hard worker, and as I mentioned, he passed away at 46. His family were Jehovah's Witnesses. He was the black sheep because he decided he was not going to participate. Yeah. So again, do with that as you will. I feel that is relevant. His younger brother lived well into his 80s, if that counts for anything. So when my grandfather died, my mom was the only child that was living at home. She was 17 years old. Oh my God, she's the same age as William. Holy shit. Oh.
My mom died at 39, so when I hit 39, it hit me. I'm actually the firstborn girl in like generations to actually not die at 39. So, and Renetta helped me break that family curse. So,
Oh, I just think I realized
it's okay. It's okay.
Mom lost the farm at 17, and we're just about to take it back, Michelle.
Yeah, things come full
William
circle.
17. My baby boy is gonna get to go home. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I would say, okay, so this is why we gave the disclaimer here. Okay, so carrying on. If I can see my notes.
Fine. It's fine. You're okay.
So yeah, when my mom was 17, the farm was essentially lost. She, as I mentioned, she had 3 siblings. So we know about the one. He was off doing his service to self thing. One of them married a German soldier. He was stationed in Germany, and they had a child who, in Germany, who is a German citizen, and that is the one who is now living in my grandma's house. And it's also who is next door to the one that has interfered with my inheritance. And the long story short is my father was convinced to write me out of the will. They replaced my son, and I've had to fight. My mom's wishes were absolutely disrespected. So yeah. Anyway, so that was so they're in that house now. And then the other interesting thing is her other sibling, who was a employee of the Ontario government, the provincial employee, was stationed in the city that my dad grew up in. He met my dad's sister. They obviously hit it off. And as you can probably surmise, they introduced my parents. And so my grandma, so when my parents got married, my grandma subdivided the 100 acres that she had and gave my mom 50 acres. And that is the house that my father and his father ultimately ended up building on the property, and that's the property that I am due to inherit half of, and that's about to kick off next week. So even with that, I was able to piece together with the energy from my father and my grandfather, and this will make sense down the road. That was my mom's spirit container. The energy that toxic masculine built contained my mom. My mom had the option of crossing over at home. She chose not to. And I literally figured it out today why she chose not to and the significance of where she chose to cross over. We'll get to that. But just a little side note, I'm honestly building to something, and there's going to be a lot of like holy shit moments. I can promise you that. So now we're in the city. My parents meet. So this is the part where I'm going to go flip over to my dad's side now, and starting with my grandma. I'm going to come right out and say it that my grandma is a First Nations Ojibwe, and that has been hidden. I don't have proof, but if you have half a brain, you can see it. The property that, like the homestead that she grew up on, it was 100 acres, and it was like about a half-hour drive away from Garden River First Nations. And there's been family members that have said Uncle Dan was awfully dark. So, and before my father passed, he'd actually sent away for the paperwork to get our status, and he never followed through with it. So I have that, to me, is enough evidence. I'm not proving myself to anybody. I will just say I do have Ojibwe running through my blood, and it's been hidden. And so yes, and so that my grandma there was a family of 9, and there was a 100-acre homestead. That place is still there today. I don't think it's a good idea for me to talk about it, but I still have access to it, but I basically have to claim it. And I don't think I'm going to. I'm having my own great reset here. Alberta is enough. And I can't go back to that place because the energy is just but anyway, moving on. So then we go to my dad's. So the whole thing with my grandma and First Nations, and like Ojibwe, I think that right there tells you everything you need to know in regards to infiltration, interference. They want to shut it down. And so that's where I feel my grandpa was inserted into. And as I was writing this, I actually saw the insertion, like the installation of programming, and why my father was the way he is, why my sibling has turned out the way that they have. It doesn't make it any easier, but it helps you understand, and it helps you identify your own shit and what you need to own, and or like what was installed, and you've just been simply reacting, and you have no idea. I don't know if I have the words right now, but I know you're feeling it, and I think other people are getting it. So from what I know, my grandfather's, like my great grandmother died when my grandfather was quite young. And so he was left with my grandfather, and he had an older sister that helped raise him. And I never met her because he had no use for her. Those were my father's words. And fast forward to the 1990s, my father had no use for his sisters. Fast forward to now, I'm going to come right out and say it because I'm not naming names, but I also have the right to share my story. My own brother has repeated this. So today I saw, now I don't know if my great aunt was horrible to my grandfather, if my great grandfather did something to her to cause, but basically I really think, and Grexton, that's a very British name. So yeah, there's that.
And your father is obsessed with the Union Jack.
Oh yes. Oh, thank you. See, this is why, yeah. I remember he had me order, he was so excited that there was a windsock of a Union Jack, and he had me order that for him from Amazon. And then he told me about this one time there was this guy flying a Union Jack in his yard, and he was out doing yard work. And so he stopped and gave the guy $10 towards his flag.
I'm just looking up a picture. I know what a windsock is.
I love the expressions on your face here. So,
well, if I'm not saying it,
so that's my grandpa. So that brings us to about like where my mom's brother's provincial government job takes him to the city to meet my dad's sister, and then my parents get introduced. My grandma gifted the land to my parents. Like, as far as I know, it never went out of my mom's name, and there was a whole bunch of stuff. So basically, it was up to her on how to divide it, and my father was just a trustee until he was convinced. But anyway, oh yeah, and so that's where I said about my grandpa helping to build the house and basically my mom's prison. So that brings us to the property location itself, which is where the decode starts. And I think this is going to be evidence for people to see the interference. So, and then they can start asking questions of their own, how they've been interfered with, and like what's theirs, what needs to be healed, what needs to be reclaimed, and so the one thing about the property that is very noteworthy is that it is on the 45th parallel, which is exactly like the precise parallel between the North Pole and the equator. And I'm a Libra. Just thought I'd throw that part in there too.
All about balance.
Libra.
So, and then on that location,
It was just
okay, was the Halliburton Red Cross Hospital.
Mm.
That place is very significant, and I think I told you about this before. So yeah, I figured the Red Cross piece of things would be significant because that just keeps showing up. So at that hospital, my mom was born in 1952. The building that was originally the hospital is now a radio station. I don't know if that's relevant, but just thought, well, yeah, it is relevant, isn't it? If we're talking portals and Stargate and stuff, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so then it moved to the current location where I was born in 1977. It was also the same place where my mom chose to cross over in 2013. And I know I've told the story before about holding her hand, but that's the Halliburton Red Cross Hospital, and I think it's just called Halliburton. I don't even know what it's called now, but that's what it was when I was born and when my mom was born. That's where we first met, and that's also where I walked her to the gate. The other thing that I feel is of importance is names of hospitals, and I feel like this is going to be like a whole other deep dive, so get your notebooks, kids. Because I was born at Halliburton Red Cross Hospital. My sibling was born at Peterborough Civic Hospital, who is a civil servant. Again, do with that what you will. On a side note, my mom's in my last argument. I was so tired, and I saw something, and it was a sign, and like I was always like reading signs and stuff and symbolism and all that, and she would just kind of look at me with curiosity, like, okay, whatever. But she never really shut me down, except the day, like the morning of before she crossed over. She told me, she's like, you read too much into things. And the first time ever that I stood up to her ever, I looked at her and I said, there's going to come a day when you're glad that I do. I didn't know it was going to be that night, but and on another side note, I'm also at the place too where I can joke about it, because the other piece to the story is like my mom got sick I don't think that was a coincidence. There's a whole lot of stuff around that as well. But the timing of things. My father retired in June of 2013. She was gone November of 2013. When he was talking about retiring, she's like, Kyla, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I seriously don't know what I'm going to do when he's home. Because at the time he was living and working in Toronto, so he would only come home on the weekends. So she only got small doses of him. And so I'm kind of at the point now where it's like, I see what you did. And I have to respect it, because if I was going to be spending the rest of my life with that energy, I think I'd be checking out too. And
Check, please.
well, and for the Rick and Morty fans, so there's this one episode where Rick he's like jumping timelines, right?
Yeah.
And this one he comes back like as a like a teddy bear, and he looks around and he like figures out like, oh, I've done this all before. So he's just like nope, and it's like slams his head and like takes himself out. So that's pretty much what my mom does. Like, she's like, nope, I'm not dealing with him anymore. So
no.
I respect my mom's decision. I miss her like fuck, don't get me wrong, but so please don't feel sad for like, I know that this might hit some chords and stuff. Don't feel sad for me, because I'm at the place and she communicates with me all the time. So that's the other thing. Like, if somebody in your life has crossed over sooner than you would have liked, maybe like if you're still sad and grieving, and I'm not saying don't, absolutely, like, there's days where it just rips my heart out, and like what I wouldn't give for a hug from my mom. But I know why she's not here, and I respect it. Even my friend Kent, who, like, today is his birthday, and again, the reason he took his life. He hung himself. We'll get into that some other time, but long story short, I respect his decision. And by talking about him and acknowledging him, like, the man was a hero. It would appear that he was a horrible, horrible, horrible being that should be rotting in hell. Well, he's not rotting in hell. He took something that should be rotting in hell.
Yeah.
So that, anyway, I kind of squirreled, but it's all relevant. It really is, because Kent's the reason we're here, the reason we're having the conversation. Like, if you trace things back, it's cool. So anyway, I'm gonna hand everything over to you.
Okay, so this is the stuff that she was able to find about the area and the namesake of the area. So I know you're you're damn impressive at this. I'm not going to say you're pretty good. You're damn impressive. And this is something that Michelle is actually setting up, that she's going to do for people who want to have these kind of breakdowns done. She's got a flyer here. I don't know if you guys can read it. I've got all her links and stuff in the description.
I can't read it. It was like this big on Canva.
I know, right? It's the pixelation and the digitization.
Yeah.
That wonderful
I can talk
stuff
about it at the end of the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, though, for bringing that up. I'm sorry. I'm so emotional today, you guys. I'm sorry about your friend. Oh, it's terrible. Suicide runs rampant in my family, and I've lost quite a few family members to suicide. My brother shot himself and lived through it. I've actually been thinking about starting a group, like a support group every week, just for people, because it seems like a lot of us come online and we have a great, relationship with an online community, but then, on this side of the screen, things get tumultuous. They get hard. You feel alone. So, I don't know. It's just something I feel like I'm being called to do. So I've been thinking, and I'm not going to charge anything for that group. I'm going to be moving pretty soon. I don't think I'm going to be able to be doing this after I move, but until then, I want to try. So if anybody's interested in that, you guys can get a hold of me. I'll tell you how to do that at the end of the show if you're interested in that.
Yeah.
There's a couple things I want to touch on real quick before we pull up the seal. I was just making mental notes as we went. So it's not ironic about the Shriners or the fact you said your brother's like a civil servant. Like, I think he's a police officer, right? Yeah. So I've talked about these departments that the Luciferian Brotherhood, also known as the Druidic Council, the Great White Brotherhood. They have many names, but they're all the same. It's a satanic council at top of bloodline families, about 300 of them. And at the top of that, there's 5 women. And one of them is the top of that pyramid. They are known as the Mothers of Darkness, and the top 3 are known as the Maiden, and Crone. And what they do is they channel Lucifer every night. Sorry, I've been so froggy lately too. Ribbit. So they channel Lucifer and fallen angels every night, and they get their agenda, and then they disperse this information amongst their satanic council. These councils are then broken into groups. You have things like the International Monetary Fund, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group. For those of you that are here, most of you already know what that is. But basically policymakers that are on the world stage, and they do have a cover story. Their cover story is always something that's, they look like they have a squeaky clean resume, that they are, family people, that they've never done anything wrong in their lives. But on the flip side of that, they are doing black magic, and they are doing ritual sacrifice, and they are making blood covenants and oaths with the spirit side. And what these state seals or province seals are the contracts that are between the spirit realm and those here in the physical. So they make these contracts in order to do their dirty work or pull information, knowledge, or power through on this side. In exchange for that, they pledge a loyalty or an oath. They are embedded in everything you can possibly imagine. They're the ones that set up religious institutions. They're the ones that set up foundations, societies, orders, secret societies, not so secret societies, anything you can think of, colleges, military, labs. It just goes on and on and on. Am I saying every person that's involved in those things are part of it? No. It's at the very, very top. And even the people at the top, they have a very small piece of the puzzle. It's very compartmentalized. It's a need-to-know basis. And they do that so that if one of their wheels falls off, well, they still have all these other ones going. And they use these departments to traffic children, launder drugs, basically to produce funds and keep their agenda moving forward. What is their agenda? Their agenda is raising children up as super soldiers to wage war against source for end-time events. If you're human, more than likely you're part of these programs and you don't even realize it, okay? So I just want to put it out there. No one is more special than anybody else. We're all equal. But if you're human, you probably don't even realize it, because they fracture the memory. They encapsulate that memory into a clone, or what they call an alter. And unless you do a lot of work and you're able to break through that barrier, you will never have a clue that you're even part of it consciously. However, subconsciously, and I'll give you an example of my own. When I was 12, I started having full-blown panic attacks. It was so bad I had to be drugged to go to bed every night. I did not know why these panic attacks started, where they came from, but they were paralyzing. I couldn't breathe. I thought if I went to sleep, I was going to die. I didn't know this till a few months ago, and I was watching my friend Raw Cloud Love, one on his YouTube channel, tell the same story verbatim, same age just about. And the reason why this was going on is because when you're in these programs, when you're being taken, whether that's at school, given a screen memory at the end of the day before you're sent home, or whether you're being taken in the dream state, they are using you for trauma bonding. They're using you for training. And even though you might die, they have a way of capturing the consciousness and bringing it right back. So whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. They believe in it, and this is what's going on. So how did I find this information out? The woman at the top, the crone, the mother of darkness, Jessie Zaboter, she was fully trained by the age of 10. They put her through My Lab or Monarch programming, MK Ultra, Voice of God, the Gateway Project, all of those, Project Looking Glass. She was in all of that. And she was able to get away. And she decided to dedicate her life to trying to expose this, to let people know what's going on. So when I found this out, you can just kind of tell when you're finding the truth of something, it just hits a little differently. And I don't think it was a mistake I came by this. But when I did come by it, it was the first time I really tried to step out in 7+ years of being an armchair researcher, I never interacted with the community. And I tried to briefly interact with that community. It was only a couple weeks. I found Renetta right after that, and that's where I went. But basically, I wanted to catalog decoding all these seals. And what I was told was no one was interested in joining forces with me because this was just an after work entertainment for them to kind of blow off steam from the workday. Excuse my language, was fucking disgusted. I don't have kids. I have fur babies, which also are used in rituals. They use the animals too. Okay. No one's exempt. But I was disgusted. And all I could think about for like 2 weeks, I was so stunned. Like I remember being at the grocery store and seeing some lady with like her newborn baby. And I just remember thinking like, it felt so surreal to me that everyone was just going about their day, their business. They had no clue what was going on. And for me, I was like, you know what? I think people deserve to have a choice. Now, maybe there's those that are going to hear this, they're going to think I'm full of shit. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what you think. If there's something you're going to tell me about myself I don't already know. But there are going to be those that do care, that this is going to resonate with. And for them, they deserve to have a choice. So when I say there's not something that they don't have their fingers in or they don't have that iron in the fire, there's nothing that they don't touch. And I'll explain that. They have a light and a dark side of their system. The light does not mean good, okay? They are moving energy. They're doing magic. How do you get magnets to work? You have to have opposites to attract, okay? So they totally believe in the as above, so below, as within, so without. So when they are doing their ceremonies above the surface, they might be giving away a grant. They might be doing a ceremony that looks like it's on the up and up. Underneath the ground, there is the exact opposite of that ceremony taking place. I'll give you another example. They totally believe in doing their church services on Saturday nights. Why? Because on Sundays, when you go into church and you have your heart chakra open and you're worshiping and you're putting all your belief and all your focus and all your intent of that into that worship, you're inviting in whatever energy's there. And what energy's there? Demons. They want you to believe that you have to go outside of yourself to have any power or to get any help, and that somebody's going to come and rescue you. And I'm going to tell you right now that it has to come from us. We have to be the ones that unite and to take back this planet. We've been given everything we need. They create false flags. They create circumstances all the time that cause people to be in a state of fear. And I'm not about fear mongering. Okay. So please, let me just say, if you think I'm about that, that's not where I'm going with this. I have huge amounts of hope for the future, but I think to know the enemy is important. How are you going to know how to stand up and protect yourself if you don't even know what it is you're standing up against? So you also mentioned the birthday card that you got. I think it was a birthday card with the butterflies on it.
Grade 8 graduation.
8th grade, I apologize. 8th grade graduation. So 14, I remember being 8th grade. It was only a few years ago. So I don't know if you still have that card or if you even remember what kind of butterflies you remember? If you don't.
No, I do. And there is a high probability that I do still have the card. There are certain things that have made it through the chaos. And I don't think it's been accidental, that which hasn't. Anyway, it was yellow butterflies. It wasn't monarch. It was yellow.
Yeah. They use their colors in the spectrum. And I'll give a little breakdown of that. And yes, Phil, I did watch that Crow 777. Thank you. I appreciated that. They have all kinds of symbols. And to take a quote from BG Cast, I too believe that symbols are the language. I believe that they've created a written and verbal language really just so we go around hexing ourselves. Ironic, isn't it, that we spell a word and we write in cursive? You know how many, go ahead. Yes, you in the back?
Yes, me in the back. I know this show isn't about me, but I heard you say this on Steven's show, and her and I almost said it at the same time, which was funny because we just wrote something at the same time. Just a little connected. When I was in public school, I couldn't read until second grade because I couldn't comprehend that I couldn't just look at the words and understand them. Right? I
Interesting.
thought you should be able to go like this, look at an entire page, and you just knew because the last time I was in a reality that was a physicality, we learned through visualization, right? My life that I was last a physical being, we didn't have written word, we just had imagery, and that's how we passed the messages, right? And through telepathy, I actually remember parts of past lives. That whole system feels like it's just in place to slow you down, right? Because our thought processes are so much faster than written or reading, right? You actually
Yeah.
have to slow yourself down. Kyle's in the chat. I'm sure he could tell you as a teacher, or maybe he's not allowed to. I don't know. Don't want to get you in shit. But reading slows down the thought process.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. They always talk about like the limitations of the construct, right? Like the speed of light. Well, I believe the speed of thought can outperform the speed of light. I think that that's the way we're supposed to. I mean, come on, how many times have you been thinking something and someone ends up saying it like right afterward, right? Like it's like, get out of my head. I was about to say that. It happens to me all the time. You know, it's funny. I used to date a guy whose last name was Keelan. Yeah. There's some other things I want to touch base on, then we'll pull up the sale. The hospital. I know for a fact that they are using those hospitals for breeder programs for trafficking children through. They basically have two categories, and these are not my words, okay, you guys? I just want to be very clear. This is not how I feel about it. I am simply the messenger. So don't kill me. They have what they call assets, which they refer to as the children. They have hierarchy, and then they have expendable. What are hierarchy? Those are Rh negative blood types. They believe that those are their treasures. They will do whatever. There's no expense that they won't bear to put those children through the ultimate college, to get them the education, whatever it is. They roll out the red carpet. If you're like me and you're not an Rh negative, well, they're going to use you and traffic you. And when you're no longer able to be sex trafficked or of use, then you are going to be ritually sacrificed or cannibalized. They're going to cremate, and they're going to turn you into a blood diamond, which is used for interdimensional portal opening with sex magic. The remainder of those ashes are cursed, and they're sold to our pharmacy and food corporations as filler. Why? What happens if you eat humans? We've all seen the movie. You're turning into a fucking zombie. And that's part of their mark of the beast. I mean, think about it. In medieval times, what did they call a dog? A beast. And it's all about mutating the DNA. They've already done. Go ahead. Go right on.
I don't know if Steven's still in the chat, but there was actually discussion about this, about cannibalism and stuff. Like it causes a folded protein or gene. I'm probably screwing this up, but it does cause some type of genetic mutation.
Yeah, I think I see that Kyle's a teacher. Good for you, dude. You know, I don't think our teachers get paid near enough. I lived in Oklahoma, and they went to 4-day-a-week school days and got rid of all the funding pretty much for teachers and for first responders. And all I could think was, what is this going to do to the teenage pregnancy rate? Because they did this in communities where it's low income, it's single parents working 2 jobs. And I mean, come on, I remember being a teenager. We all had hormones, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So they got rid of all the extracurricular activities after school. And sorry, I keep dropping F-bombs. It fucking shocked me. I mean, this is our future, right? Like, how can we not be justifying spending money on our teachers and our children to educate them? And you look at other countries like India, other countries where these kids are PhDs by the time they're 18, right? Multiple degrees. I know they say that this is like, you know, the American dream here and that we're a first world country, but I don't think so anymore. Not with our education, not with the way we take care of our people.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say we are on a time crunch because we got other. Are we
Yeah, we're gonna
able
have to probably do a part 2. I don't think we're gonna be able to get through all that seal today, but we can put the seal on and I can do the basic decode.
there's a couple here that we'll run through.
Okay. All right. So the first, go ahead.
Can I
Go ahead.
yeah. So when you said about logos changing,
Yeah, the
kind of
flag
like
and the
two
seal.
hands, so I just wanted to give you a little bit more information. So this just came into play in 2001.
Yeah.
And go.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, so what she's referring to is there was the old system, which is known as the Babylon system, or that ended in 2021 in April, and that would have been George Soros. That would have been what they call the Phoenix. There are 3 orders at the top that are of the highest seniority. There's the Order of Melchizedek, the Order of the Phoenix, and the Order of the Golden Dawn. So if you have to be invited into the Order of Melchizedek and the Order of the Phoenix. So if you're not a bloodline family, no matter how good of a Freemason you are, you're never going to get there. So it's invitation only. And if you are invited into the Order of Melchizedek, that means you're an initiate of the flame. So I'll give you an example. If anyone remembers when Kanye West lit himself on fire, that is a ritual of the Order of the Phoenix. He is displaying on the world stage who his alliances are to. After George Soros stepped down, Barack Obama took over as the Order of the Phoenix. So he's there to help usher in end time events, help the world accept the New World Order, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In the United States, we have 4 regions. The rest of the globe is divided into 4 regions. 4 of those mothers of darkness have 2 of those quadrants or regions that are assigned. And they are considered grand high priestesses. They're called mothers, but they have many, many titles. Basically, they are trained in dark arts, and they oversee the picking of the children and getting them trained, which basically consists of taking them from school through portals to one of 4 bases. Depending on the mascot of the school will indicate what base they're going to. They have transitioned into the Leviathan system or the system of the beast. And the way you can tell is they are redoing the flags, and they are going from a circular seal to a square seal with way less detail. Depending on what kind of seal it is, it's going to show different types of contracts. Hold on, go back one. I'm not done yet.
Oh,
so I can tell you right off this, because you have water, that you have ritual sacrifice with Leviathan going on. He has been given authority over the waterways. That bridge going to those mountains represent the Order of Odin. That's going to be one of the orders that they're training up children as super soldiers in. I would guarantee you that bridge right there goes to a very specific set of mountain ranges, and I would be willing to bet that there is probably a portal there. Okay, you can go ahead and change the screen now.
Wow.
You just kind of hit that out of the park, because the portal on the 45th, that kind of...
Yeah, when we get to the province seal, I'll be able to tell you guys exactly how to locate DUMS. Okay, so I can tell from the deer right away that this goes to a sovereign order. You have the, I think it's like the benevolent ancient order of the deer. We'd have to look it up. I don't have them all memorized. There's like only a gazillion of them. You also have trees, which also goes to the order of the foresters, or the ancient order of the foresters. The colors, those indicate. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you just heard uncle worked for the forestry, the Ministry of the Forest.
Yeah, there's all kinds of connections. I mean, they've got moose lodges all over. I know Maya's in the chat, and she's talking to me about her family being involved in that. I just want to say, for the record, I got Freemasons in my family. All of us have somebody in the family line that's done this. Okay. I actually want to mention this real quick. I should have mentioned this earlier with Renetta. So Renetta talked about the 13th tribe who was after her. Okay, Renetta was an heir to Atlantis. It took her 6 months to get her DNA results back. They literally had to run them on the phone live to get the DNA results. And Renetta was from the port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. And at 15 years old, she moved to the United States, to New York City, where she went to a high school that has a big black cube in it. And it was either funded to be built by the CIA or it was modeled after the CIA. You'll have to forgive me. I'm not sure which one off the top of my head. But she approved the secret space program, and she had cybernetics installed all the way from head to toe on the left side of her body. She had those scanned. She has a video where it's called The Galactic Slave Trade, Proving the Secret Space Program. It's under Black Sunrise, SON University. You can find that on Rumble or YouTube. The videos are still up. I would encourage you to go and watch them. And basically what she did was she had the implants in her body scanned, and she compared those with the ranges that are available through the FCC and the United Nations websites. They came back at the start of deep space. The start of deep space is 10 million light years away, you guys. When I say that they're trafficking, they don't give a shit about money. Yes, they do acquire money to accomplish certain things, but genetics, the most valuable thing in the world is genetics and blood. They have huge cryobanks frozen underneath the ground with all kinds of genetics. All of us have been harvested at some point or another. No one's exempt. Okay, so the colors, those do go to light spectrums and fallen angels that have been given anointings or authorities or powers to operate within those light spectrums. And what they've done is they've inverted the light spectrum. That's where you get very, very popular symbol. It looks like the Star of David. That is literally the two triangles of the light spectrum being inverted and pushed in together. Right now, we're going through what's called the red shift. If you look at the Vatican or the Holy See, they used to wear blue and they now wear red. There's a reason for that. The chevron in the middle, you can tell is pointed down. That is an unholy contract. If it's pointed up, it's a holy contract. So you remember I told you there's a light and a dark side. As you can see there's a chevron going up and a chevron going down. You have Freemasons in the area. They put their symbols everywhere. And this is a regional marker. So this lets you know that's who's in authority in the area. So those orders I mentioned, those are the ones that are carrying out the agenda that has been disseminated through the satanic councils down to them. You have the three leaves there in the middle. Has to do with alchemy. The three basic, I think it's like sulfur, salt, and I can't remember. Steven probably knows this. I think it's like sulfur, salt, and air, something like that. But basically what they've done is they've taken the original template of source and they have perversed it in every way they possibly can, basically to give the middle finger to the creator as much as possible. Next slide, please.
Okay, this one is the regional tartan. I don't know how good you are with these. If not, we'll skip to the provincial flag.
I'll do my best. Okay. So the black is the angel of death. You've got the red, which represents this financial backing of the Sanhedrin of Israel. The white is Lucifer, or the light bearer. And the green and the blue, as you can see, they're interlaced. So the blue would have been the old financial system. That would have been the Holy See, the Babylon system. So basically, that's all they're doing is they're intermixing. They're showing you their contracts. They're showing you that they've bound them together. That's about all I can tell you about that.
That's interesting that you say that, because Minden Hills, like I said, was formed in 2001. That was an amalgamation of various townships. Like this, like we're seeing right here how they're pulling everything in and trying to become like one. This is the slow pulling in of their plan of the one world order. This is happening real time. So this is where I grew up. So you can see this, and I bet you can draw some parallels in your own communities. So what's happened when Minden Hills was established in 2001? It was the amalgamation of all of the townships all around. And that consisted of the one that I was in. It was actually Minden Township, but it was part of 3 townships that were called Anson, Hinden, and Minden. And then there was Snowden Township, which was the one just over from me. That's where my grandma was born. There was a lot of significance there. And then there was Lutterworth. So we've got Anson, Hinden, and Minden, Lutterworth, Snowden. There might be, I think that's all of it, but they were all amalgamated. And then around, I'm not sure if it was around the same time, that's when the county, so Halliburton County was big enough on its own kind of thing, right? But then there was an amalgamation. They did the same thing to the south of us with Lindsay area. So Lindsay, Bob Cajun, where Don and I met, Fenland Falls, like different towns. They were different townships. I don't know as much, but they were all brought under the quote city of Kawartha Lakes. So there was an amalgamation there. And then there was an amalgamation with the voting areas, because it used to be just Halliburton County. It used to be Victoria County. It was all specific. Well, now it's Halliburton, City of Kawartha Lakes, and Brock. Brock's nowhere near us. It's closer to the GTA. So even there you can, GTA, Greater Toronto Area. So you can see, and as far as that goes, there's also been, I'm gonna fucking call it right out, an invasion into my hometown of people coming up from the GTA. That's why we were literally pushed out of that area, because there were no housing. There was nothing. Don was about to lose his job. I had to start my own business because there was no employment that I didn't have to sell my soul for, but that's for another day.
Jabby.
And so even that, like, you can see how it's slowly encroaching. Like I said, like, we were pushed out of that area. We literally were. But joke's on them, because now we're on the same parallel as Stonehenge and Glastonbury, and that's taking me on a whole other. But the whole point is, like, you can see, and it just lines up. And like, even like when you were saying about the three maple leaves, oh look, we have the Ontario flag up here. We've got a deer, which is the same as what was happening in Halliburton County. And then we've got the Red Cross showing up again. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this.
Oh, she's
No
wired
pressure.
out.
Sorry. I feel like I need a drink, and I don't even drink that often. Gatorade's not cutting it tonight. Okay. Well, I know that the Red Cross, that's going to be the Cross of St. George. That's going to be your Templars, for sure. This is a little differently than the SEALs, you guys. Okay. This is the coat of arms. This is going to go to knights, like a knight's order, bloodline families that are loyal to the satanic councils. You also have the bear at the top. There's an ancient order of the bear. They are freaking everywhere. I'm from California. I was born and raised. They have a bear in fucking California on the flag. Excuse my language. So, they always, like, it's interesting because, when women get married, what do? We take, the man's last name, but we have our father's last name as our maiden name. You actually trace these up the mother's side of the family. So I can tell you that, yeah, there's 3 orders there. And you have the Cross of St. George and your Templars. You also have those 3 leaves, which is going to be your Kabbalah magic. Just think the Kabbalah tree of life. There's also a repetitive theme, and they do this with architecture. They do this in all the imagery. You see how the right and the left are almost identical? And then the center goes straight up, taller than that. The left and the right, that's known as your Baal and your Ashtaroth poles, or in the Bible, it's the Boaz and the Jachin pole. You'll see it in buildings all the time. There will be one tower that's domed and one that's a little taller that goes straight up, that's rectangular. And the center of the building will go the tallest. They'll go the highest. You can also tell, now I think Connor might still be in the chat, and Connor is like a expert with heraldry. From what I understand, like the colors and the knights' helmets, those indicate rank, and they indicate certain families, like the way that the leaves are designed. And then you have the motto or the creed at the bottom. So we could actually translate that if you guys want, and we'd be able to find out, what knights groups that goes through. I guarantee you that there's going to be commonalities with this symbol, like this imagery right here, and symbolism with architecture all through Ontario. You're going to find these images.
That's
okay. Go ahead. I can't see you, Don, but I
that's
can hear you.
actually cool because I have Connor coming on in September, I believe. So maybe we can follow up in a brief segment about that flag. So we can definitely.
Connor asked me last night if I want to do a decode on heraldry with him, and so I'm going to try to fit that in before I move back to Oklahoma if possible. I've been dying for Connor to teach me about heraldry for months. I've got like thousands of photos, screenshots on my phone of trying to wrap my head around heraldry. But my understanding is that the ranking, it's like connected with like the diocese, the Holy See. So you have like cardinals and things of that nature. I wish she was here so he could help me fill in the blank for the words I don't have. But I believe that, same thing with this one. This one, there's going to be somebody who probably founded the town or the province whose last name is Halliburton.
Yes. Yep. Thomas Chandler Halliburton.
Yeah. And I know isn't that a huge company too? Isn't that part of like the military industrial complex? Isn't there a Halliburton or like a government contractor?
It's spelled differently, but I think they like to.
Yeah, something else I'll tell you guys too, and I learned this from Renetta. Okay, so they invert things, right? Mysticism, the esoteric, that came from the East. Well, in the East, they read right to left. It's only in the West we read left to right. So sometimes you're going to want to invert these words. Like, for example, if you take Itanamuli and write that the real way it goes, the Illuminati, if you write it backwards in your search bar, one of the first websites that's going to come up is the freaking NSA.
Yeah.
Now, when I first looked it up, there was no message up there. I checked it a couple months ago, and it's like, this is a complete coincidence. It doesn't really take, like, they put up, I mean, they might as well just have laser lights up right here and been like, yep, we're eating babies. Come on in. Like, they tried to put a message up, a disclaimer up on the search results so that people wouldn't make the connect, like, they always leave a plausible deniability, you guys. Okay. They always, even my own experiences with trying to wake up. Sometimes I still even find the stigma in me where I'm like, this is crazy, right? Like, no, it's not fucking crazy. The programming, you talk about the programming and the insertion, they do it intentionally from birth so that you will naturally look away from this. Yeah. I've just, you know what I mean? How many, go ahead.
It's kind of a side squirrel, but it's related. So going back to the hospital thing, my son was born in Royal Victoria Hospital. What would the significance of, like, is that like right in my face? Like,
yeah, I mean, they put things in the face. I can tell you for sure. Like, I mean, even we all know about straw men. We know about them registering us for Social Security numbers, that comes with a bank account with funds in it that we never see. They are trafficking these bodies. Renetta went so far as to say they even choose the moment that we're going to be expiring, that they own the body we're in. Sorry, it's hard.
You know what? Like, I've had experience where exactly. I won't get into it right now, but like the whole thing. But I was in a situation where I should have had the power to speak for myself, but instead a government agency inserted itself, would not listen to my side of the story, and basically acted like it was offended. It didn't matter that I was the one and it wasn't even a big offense. It was there was things that happened, but they took it and ran and fucking twisted it and used it as an excuse to dictate how things went. I'm like, okay, I'm the one who experienced the situation here. I know what's going on. I've been down this path before where I can see where it's detrimental and where I can see where somebody just needs some help. And it was the case where somebody just needed some help, but instead they're like, oh no, you don't, like, even though you feel safe, and even though you've already been in an abusive situation, and you know it doesn't matter because you're ours, bitch, and we're keeping this individual away from you, and it doesn't matter that they didn't hurt you the way that we're saying that they hurt you in a certain way. No, they didn't.
It's cool. I've talked about this
Yeah.
on the air. I got drunk, and we're pretty sure it got overtaken by something and trashed our kitchen. And I got arrested when she called to get me help.
I
And
got
then
thrown
we,
across my kitchen by something invisible a few months ago. I believe you completely, Dawn.
and yeah, then we were forced to be separated by the government with
Yeah.
no assault.
So apparently I had this advocate.
Yeah.
So I reached out to her and I'm like, listen, my ex was an abusive piece of shit. He broke me, he broke my son, and I would love to get into that someday about how the system used him and how he used the system to keep me on a short fucking leash. Oh yeah, it's all, the floodgates are just opening. But I've already been through it. I know what an abusive fuck looks like. He was not that. And hello, I'm an adult. I should be able to choose whether or not this man is in my life. But no. I was treated like a piece of property. Like, oh, we're here for you. We're your advocate. We're in the corner. Well, okay, so if I wanted to play the wounded woman, and oh, I'm just a weak little woman, and he's a misogynist, and he's a narcissist, and I would have had all the support I needed and every advocate. And if I wanted to shred him and destroy his life, I could have done that. But meanwhile, you have my ex where there's evidence that he's abused me, he's abused my son, and is still walking around a free individual. He broke a child.
Yeah.
And he's walking away free. He has not paid a cent in child support in 17 years, but he was allowed, like he was forced. William had the right to see him, except William didn't want to see him. And it had nothing to do with me. And I'll leave it at that. But all of this is the interference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry you went through that.
It's wild and this is what we're trying to show people, and that's why I don't care. I'll be raw and dirty about this. Yeah, it was me. I got drunk, something overcame me, and I trashed our house. But if you start to look at the places in your own reality where the government or entities or agencies or whomever has just inserted themselves into your life to assume some type of control of your reality, you actually realize just how controlled in this construct you really are. And that was a huge part of what we wanted to show tonight.
And if you don't play by their rules, or you don't go down the chute that they want to shoot you down. Okay, so that was something else that Dawn suggested that I bring up. The different opportunities that I've been offered to become a civil servant. And because I've turned them down for, like, okay, like my mom, she issued driver's licenses, and she strongly encouraged me to become an examiner, like a driver's license examiner. She's like, you would be set for life. You would have a pension. You'd have a steady wage. You'd be, and yeah, I would have been, and I could have been, and I would have been really good at it. But there was something. It was dealing with people. I didn't want to deal with people in that context because I saw people. That's what it came down to. It's like, you cannot pay me enough to deal with these toxic, entitled people. like they would come up from the city, the same ones that drove me out of my
Were
family
they
land.
French? No offense if you're French Canadian, but were they French Canadian? Because
No,
No.
I've
that's
dealt with French Canadians. No offense if you're from there, just a little rude.
that's a whole other different energy, and it's
I dealt with them
legit.
when I worked at Avis.
And again, it's one of those things like where you've got the really good-hearted ones, and then you've got the super toxic.
There's rude people in every
It's all over
barrel.
the place. Yeah, and it's the same like with the people, like from people with from the city. You know, you've got your benevolence, but then you've got the ones that just look down on you and treat you like absolute shit. So that's why I wouldn't sell out, and I wouldn't take that job. Well, then there was an opportunity to work at a post-secondary institution to be an instructor. And again, I would have been set. Things would have been good. And I could see, like, even Don, he's like, you're being groomed to be an instructor. Whoa. So there was that. And then there was also, I had an opportunity with a community service program, which, you would probably have an absolute blast. I'm not gonna name names because there's still some ties that I haven't really,
Okay.
but there were multiple opportunities. And the last one, actually, how that fell through is the director herself showed her colors and basically showed the hierarchy and how I was down here. And and this organization, I can see the angelics that they have recruited. And fortunately, at that moment in time, 2 of them were there and they witnessed it. They witnessed the treatment and they were pissed.
Reptilian.
So when I told them and see in this, and if I had have taken this job, we probably would have stayed in Ontario because I would have ended up jumping through hoops. And when I came home and I told Dawn about what happened, because at that point I hadn't turned it down yet, I looked at him and I'm like, I am not giving this woman the authority over me to control my pay. I will not bow down to that. And then we were homeless and
Yeah.
the rest of that happened.
You know, maybe this is a good place for me to end it at. Oh my God, I meant to write Mobile. That's so funny. Sorry, Jason. I meant to write Wienermobile. I wrote Wiener. That's freaking hilarious. I've seen the Wienermobile, the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. Sorry, I laugh. I make myself laugh harder than anyone.
Let's have a fucking sing along.
That's
I
cool.
wish
So
I was an
that's
Oscar
funny.
Mayer wiener. Fuck, I don't care.
Not one of those days. Let me be serious. Okay, so they do want to break up families, and I was a foster kid. I got taken away on my 13th birthday, and I went through the system, and my brother and I got separated. And when my dad came home from prison, my brother.
It snowed in South Africa for the first time in recorded history.
It's snowing in South Africa for the first time in recorded history. Someone must wash their car. That's how they do it in Oklahoma. Just wash your car, it'll snow. Holy shit, snowing in South Africa. That's nuts. Renetta found a pharaoh lion coming out of the Eye of Sahara on Google Earth, and I can show it to you guys next time. Okay, so they want to break up families. There is a agenda on transgender, transhumanism. Basically, they want to break up family units. That's why they have turned sex changes into a fad. And look at, I have a stepson who is transgendered. Okay, so, and I love him dearly. I don't judge him, to each their own. I love him no matter what. But I remember being in school. I remember what it was like to you have the cool backpack and everything. You know what I mean? It was a lot of peer pressure to fit in. And unfortunately, the times have changed. It's no longer about how you dress. It's now about if you're cutting your balls off and wearing them as earrings. Sorry.
Yeah.
I really don't have anything against anybody who's homosexual. You know what? I love people. I don't like these. and I don't even want to call them people anymore. They're not human, okay? And they want to take us out. They want, if you've heard of 1984, just think a dystopian society, think Orwell. That's exactly what their wet dream is. That's what they want. So I'm sorry that happened to you, Kyla. I'm not surprised. I hope everybody's a parent that sees this just holds on to your kid a little bit more, just be a little bit more protective.
Yeah,
Because if they go ahead.
No,
Go
and
ahead.
I was going to say, like, to the parents, if you suspect it, it's real. It's real. Like, and I like I almost feel that that warrants a show of its own, because I know parents that, like, people that have just been put through the ringer. And I'm even you know, like, I've talked about my ex the way that I have, and even that is all part of the agenda. So I'm going to say I also see the single dads and how you guys have been fucked over too.
Yeah,
I
big
see, and
time.
it's the divine. So what it is, it's the divine masculine. You've got the toxic masculine in there breaking the divine feminine, but then you've also got the divine fem or the toxic feminine, which seems to be running more rampant, breaking the divine masculine. So yes, my ex, like, and I've also said the same thing about how I felt the system used me as an example. Like, see, fathers have rights, except for they used the most fucking deadbeat example that they could come up with. There's I'm gonna use
It's a
Don as an
village.
example. Like, this man held down, like, what, 3 jobs? Like, he did everything to give his kids, like, what he could. Like, he went out of his way. He took on kids that weren't even his. Wait. Oh, he did it again.
He
And
did it to Aaron too.
has been put through the friggin' ringer. His one daughter, her mother just has her and her and her grandmother has her talons, and the only time she comes to him is when she wants something, and she's tried that shit with me. And bye-bye, I have no use for you. I'm not playing that game. And the other one, like, we won't even, like, she called the fucking cops on him and fabricated a story. And
They did that to Aaron. They
and
did that to Aaron. Aaron was an amazing dad. He had the best relationship with his daughter. And he's the only one I know that paid his child support off a year and a half before the kids even turned 18. He paid so much he paid child support for a year before it was even court ordered. And I will say this, okay, because you're absolutely right. Like, I don't condone abuse, right? But men can be abused too.
yes,
And there is a whole stigma just because you're a woman that you're automatically by default going to have a better chance in court, even if you're not the better suited parent. So I just want to say that for the record. Like, if you're a good parent out there, I'm not speaking to you. I'm speaking to the ones that aren't being there for their kids.
so and
No judgment. I don't have kids.
I can give you the, like, an absolute example of the contrast here. Okay, so I've told both stories. So when I went and tried to fight for my son, everything was thrown at me, and they did everything to try to take him away from me. But meanwhile, and his father is the epitome of the toxic masculine.
The
But
federal
meanwhile, we've
courts
got
are
the
running
divine
rampant with
masculine,
reptilians.
and I had all the resources and everything. And if I was to become a man hater, and well, they
I
kind
know
of had
empathy.
me over a barrel. Like, they were grooming the man hating. And in that situation, because they were after my son, they basically turned me into my own self-destruction. But having been through that and seeing, like, what my rights as a woman were, when they went after the divine masculine with Dawn, I knew what my rights were, and I knew how I could destroy him. I had everything at my fingertips. And if I wanted to destroy him, I could have been. He could potentially be behind bars right now if I had have took the bait and blew it up. So right there, I think that should show people, like, if you want to play by their rules, here's carte blanche. But if you see the divine and it's like, I'm not selling my soul, well, no, we're going to keep you away from him and pull everything that we possibly can.
Yeah.
And I'm just one person.
I'm glad you have your son. You're a good mom. I'm glad you have Dawn because you're a good husband.
Team Fourther.
So before we take off here, I'm so happy you guys got to do this. This was awesome. And, you know, I want to look definitely more into this heraldry thing with some of the flags and stuff, because I drive through the city of Calgary all the time and I just snap pictures of shit. And, like, you know, there's statues of Nephilim disguised as humans, except some of the legs are way too long. And there was a black. Oh, I told Renetta about this. There was a black cube in front of this apartment building, and then one day it just disappeared, like it was never even there. Like the concrete and everything that it was mounted to, just gone.
The portal on the bridge.
Yeah, there was a portal. Anyways,
isn't there something called a castle or something near the mountains near you too?
Yeah.
Castle
Mountain. That's a whole other.
That's
that's what I want to tell
thing.
people is when you look at Google Maps, just pay attention to those words. It's not about how they're spelled; it's about how they sound phonetically.
Yeah, no, like I have pictures. There's literally a door that is the size of a house that is, you can see where a stone has been inserted into an entrance there. And there is no, I'll show you when we're off the air. And if
Who's coming through that door?
Portal.
I have some questions.
Yeah, I'll show you off the air. But yeah, like I was drawn to it since we moved back to Alberta. I was born here. That was my calling to come here. Right. Yeah. So the two of us getting together and her having the love of Alberta and me being born here and always longing for home, it just made sense. Right.
Yeah, it does.
Really does. Before we take off, you actually are going to start offering some type of classes on this or teaching coding. And I'd love for you to explain to everybody before we go what that is, where to get a hold of you. All of your links are in the description, but it's also better for audio as well.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. So you can find me on YouTube. I'm the Earth Grid Rescue Mission right here. The 16th of August, I'm going to offer my first class. It should be about 2.5, 3 hours long. It's a private group. It's $20, except PayPal and Cash App. And I'm going to teach all the basics of the foundation so that you guys can decode your own towns. I will teach you the contracts, how to read the seals, the orders, how to find them, how to dissect the architecture to see the movements that are going through your towns. Basically how to identify everything that is above ground and below ground and how they work and their all their things that they normally hide. I'm going to show you and expose all of that. So if you're interested in taking this class, please contact me. You can hit me up on YouTube, or you can also contact Dawn and Spinja. They can get a hold of me too. If the first class goes well, then I might offer more. I'm just really trying to see if there's people out there that are interested in learning this. This was never meant to just be for me and to hold, here. This was something I learned to share with people. The only way that we're ever going to stop this is if people are aware. I do believe knowledge is power. So I think that the more people that are aware, the more that we can stop them. The only reason they've been able to do this so long is because they've been able to keep it secret. So the time has come.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
Absolutely. And I've spoke about this before, and I'm going to reiterate it again. I love that you are charging a fair price because there's a lot of people in this community that are fucking gatekeepers and I can't stand them. You are charging a reasonable amount for the knowledge that you have spent your dedicated time and energy and devotion learning. And I do think that is a fair energetic exchange if you're going to condense it into that. People that run courses for $1,000 for a bunch of bullshit, it drives me insane. And I appreciate that you are charging this community a respectable amount because a lot of people in this community are hard up, are going through hardships, and do have a hard time being able to participate in these things. So for you, that is awesome. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you for having me on here. I always have a good time when I come on here. You guys have connected me with amazing people like BG Cast, and I just feel like I'm so lucky. I have the bestest friends ever. I feel like I've met like my soul group. So it's you guys. You guys are the reason I do this, and I appreciate all of you.
Frank Castle once said this to me, and I'm going to say it to you. We've been waiting for you. Welcome home.
Love you guys.
All right.
Make me cry one more time. I swear.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody that's in the chat, thank you for popping in, participating. And there's Steve's mom. I love you.
Hi, Tracy's mom.
And I always say, if you can go outside, please do, because it's a lot better than sitting in front of this screen. Love you guys.
Bye.